I know you were coming in, wanting to finish and not wanting to have another decision, but a dominant performance. I mean, what did you think about your performance this evening?
It was okay. It was pretty stagnant on the ground. Don't get me wrong, I wanted to do more too, but he's sitting there holding me. He's a very strong guy. I knew it was tiring him out. I wasn't going to risk my position just because, he was trying to squeeze me, and I knew that was part of the game plan. He was getting tired. He used a lot of strength. I could change my nickname. I finally have a nickname, the Decisionator, Ryan LaFlare. What's the hat in that thing? But at the end of the day, man, there was 15 seconds left. I heard that wood clock, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try to finish this thing. I rocked him with a knee. If I had 10 more seconds, I think I was finishing that thing. But, he was a tough opponent, and I'm happy to get the win, get back on the winning column. You're only as good as your last fight, and regardless of what happened to my last fight, I wanted to make sure I get out there and win. Remember what it feels like to fight there. You can't live in the past, and go out there and take care of business.
I know you had respect for him going in. I mean, he's a strong guy. I mean, was anything surprising to you, or did it play out?
You know what? I always give them even more credit than my coaches and everyone else gives them. Everyone goes, "Oh, you're gonna see all his punches. You're gonna," but the guy's he's a pro. He's in the UFC. He's got some big wins in the UFC. You always have to give him a little more credit. But no disrespect to him, I saw pretty much everything that he had for me. I expect him to be a very strong grappler, which he was. I think I'm a little more dynamic. I think my wrestling I could change it up. I could do a little bit of everything a little bit better than he was, and that showed. When he was on top of me for the short time, I felt like he was using a lot of strength. So I knew if I just kind of chilled and waited for him to make a mistake, I would be able to get out, and I was able to end up on top. A big thing that changed the fight in the second round, he had that lockdown on my knee. I kind of wasn't worried about it. I knew that he couldn't do anything. I've been in that position a million times. I was worried about the punches, and I felt him. He's a very strong guy. He popped something in my knee. He saw me go out towards the end of the second and the whole third round. I couldn't really put any weight on that back foot. I felt it moving. So if you saw my kicks, he was able to kind of catch him a little bit because I couldn't move him as fast. At the end of the day, no excuses. I got the win. I was trying to get the finish, but it is what it is.
Are you worried there might be something wrong with it? Or?
Oh, there's definitely something wrong with it. But what am I going to do? We sign up to fight, and I'm prepared to die in there. So whatever it is, I'll worry about it later. I just want to win decisively.
I know you wanted to finish, so I got to ask. I mean, you're racking up the rounds, right?
Yeah.
Is it hard to be patient, maybe not get a little crazy? Because I felt like you really wanted to get a finish this time.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm like, I'm almost destined for it, and I almost kind of expect it, which is it's not the way I want to fight. That's why I was really trying to hit him with that knee. I was trying to throw the kitchen sink at him. But at the end of the day, what am I going to do? I knew I was ahead on the scorecards. I still wanted to, I'm here. This is where I started my career. I wanted to impress everybody, and obviously I ran out of time.
Last thing for me, we've talked a little bit about, kind of the starts and stops in your career or whatever. You wanted some time away. Right. What do you want to do now, man? I guess the first thing is get the knee checked out, but
the knee.
Are you wanting to build on some momentum? Is it heading in the right spot? Or
Yeah,
do you want
of course,
to take some
man.
time?
I fight because I love it, man. I have my gym, I have my family, I have other sources of income. Don't get me wrong, this income is a big part of but it's I don't need it to survive, and I do it because I'm passionate about it. It's my life. I've dedicated my life to it probably 15 years ago. I'm continuing want to get better. I think when I'm done fighting, I want to be a coach. I want to, be a big pioneer in the sport, and it'll always be a part of my life. So I want to, the second you stop learning, you stop growing, and then I think that's when your career starts going down. I'm still interested in learning, and I've been with the same coaches for the past 10, 15 years, and I'm still taking a little bit from here and there, and create my own style.
How much were you conscious of after how the last fight went, avoiding the one big shot?
Yeah, that's a really good question because you forget how you act. Obviously I was so used to winning, even though the Maya fight I lost, but it wasn't like I didn't really get hurt in that fight. It was just like I got out grappled, and you just forget what your mindset was like before. I got knocked out last fight. I don't even remember after the fight. Everyone was like, "Oh yeah, you saw me." I'm like, "No, man, I was out cold. What are you talking about?" So I forget what my mindset was like before that fight. I remember, now I'm sitting here scratching my head like, should I be focused? Should I be mad? Should I be angry? And you don't know. But at the end of the day, your body goes, as soon as they close that door and just view your opponent in the ref, you go, oh yeah, I know how to do this. I've done this. I've been doing this for 10 years. So you go and you fight, and then as the fight goes longer, you start figuring an opponent out, and the stress kind of relaxes. Whereas earlier in the fight, in your career, you might build more anxiety. For me, it's like, oh, this is easy. I see every strike he's throwing at me. I'm a veteran, so that helped me in this fight.
You were said coming into this fight that you were burned out after the last one. How do you feel now, and moving forward?
Well, I was burned out in the last one. Regardless of the win or lose, it was like I said before. I was more anxious for the fight to be over than I was for the fight itself. And then when you lose, it's kind of like, okay, you neglect your family, you focus, you do all this stuff, getting your weight down, training, getting punched in the face. I'm training. My whole sparring camp for my last fight was guys who were bigger than me, strong, big dudes. And it just stunk. And then after all that said and done, then you lose, and you lose embarrassingly. You get knocked out in front of all your friends and family. It's like, what's the end result? So you kind of got to be like, man, this is worth doing. And then I took a couple months off. And I go, yeah, it is worth doing. And then, it's been part of my life for 10 years, and I love it. I'm so passionate about it,
It's definitely worth it after how this went.
Oh, of course, man. Regardless, I'm sure a lot of people thought that was a little boring on the ground. We were just kind of holding each other. But I was still trying to win the fight, man. At the end of the day, why am I going to give up a position? He's a strong guy, Why am I going to give up a stupid position that I knew I had in perfect control when he was just trying to hold me there? So, hopefully everyone was happy, and maybe we'll move on. Maybe the next one will be a finish.
You spoke before the fight about kind of the distractions of fighting at home, and this is still kind of in your own backyard or maybe your neighbor's backyard, close enough. Do you want the next one on the road?
I don't care, as long as it's not a National Coliseum. That I didn't like. And if it was there, I'm staying in the hotel. I think the big thing was, like, I'm training, doing my weight cut out at my gym with all my students there, and they're like, hey coach, you feel good, you look good, like asking me questions about my weight cut. Like, I was just way too many distractions. I remember the day of the fight, I wake up, I'm like having breakfast, my kids are like running around, I'm like, nothing. I'm like, okay, I give my wife a kiss goodbye, I'm like, I'm gonna go fight in front of millions of people. Like, it just didn't feel like I wasn't in the fight mode. I felt like I was going to work. I had my bagged lunch with me. And I just felt like, it was like, oh crap, I still got to fight in front of millions of people. I don't like that. I like coming here on Tuesday with just fortunately my coaches are also my best friends. So, like, you get here, you bond with them, you bullshit, and it's all about you and the fight. And, it's something that I think makes a big difference. You get here in the fight week and that mindset.
Thank you.
All right?
Thanks, Ron.
All right, guys.
Sure.
Thank you.